at the end of the conference, we have 2 talks remaining. The last one is keynote by Aditya. But before that, we have talk by Raounak. Raounak Sharma, he is going to talk about, I forgot the topic actually, sorry. But we will come to know that very quickly. So Raounak is still a student. He's learning in college. I think he's in final year of his engineering. He's from Delhi, a big football and cricket fan, and he's doing internship at Coupa Software. So let's hear from Raounak what he has to say.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Raounak, and before starting off, I want you, all of you, to have a great round of applause for this amazing community we have and for this amazing day we are having. Those were very great line of speakers, and those were very great and amazing flash talks. And well, you guys are very sweet. Actually, those claps were not for the community. Those were for, I'll let you guess. So like before starting off, I have created something. So, yep. It's not working in full screen. Yeah, so what I've created, it's a simple command line application which generate memes. Yeah, you listen it right. It generate memes, and what it does it takes one upper text. This is the command line application, generate meme, and this with is a command, and this is like first argument, which is a string, which is an upper text of the photo, and this is the lower text of the photo, and I'm passing it, and I'm passing a flag of meme, and I'm passing this image name. And if you wonder how I get this image name, I haven't statically typed it. I have also have a command which lists all the image names. It takes it from the API. So yeah, this is what interns does if you leave them free. So better not to. And let us test it. Well, most of the things fail at the time of presentation. But yeah, it doesn't. So like, it generates these memes. So yeah, this Obama cool was like the name of the image, and this was the upper and the lower text. You can say, you can also pass the font as a flag, and it will change that font also. I'll come to this later on in my slides. And if you want to play around with this, you can play around with this. I'll share the code with you. But as my co-workers do, don't just generate memes from this CLI to which is for this CLI, like, and for me. Like whenever I show this to my co-workers, they make memes on me. So don't just do that. And if you do that, don't tag me on Twitter. So, yep. Like, this is the actual topic. So, world of CLI. And it's world of CLI with Ruby. Actually, I thought this is the main thing, but I still put it that on bigger font. So, very first thing at the first, what this talk is about, like why you should be listening to me. You had such a great line of speakers, and what actually the purpose of this talk is. So the purpose of this talk is, because we are coming to the very end of our day for this amazing conference, and you had lots of code, intense coding sessions. So this is like a light talk. So this is like the when, why, and how. When you can use the CLI applications, why you should use the CLI applications, and how you can use the CLI applications. Now again, how I will tell you like how you can create it in Ruby and why in Ruby, but that section is a small. First, I wanted to tell you like when and why. When can be different for every person, for every developer, for every company. So it will be like my experience when I decided to use that. This is kind of a little bit show off, but I gotta need to do that. So, but I will cover it like formally in the sense that let me tell you something about myself. So my name is Raounak. I am a third-year undergraduate student in computer science engineering. I have been to various regionals, nationals, and international hackathons, including Angel Hack. I am from New Delhi with a university, Indraprastha University, and I am a university topper. Yeah, I am. And currently I am, thanks. You can contribute in that also. And yeah, currently I'm interning at Coupa Softwares. This is my 4th internships, and I've done 3 previously, obviously. And I'm a mentor at Rails Girls Summer of Code. And before this, I have spoke at RubyConf India, which happened in like 9-10 February 2018, this year. Okay, though the first section, the when. When you can use that. Okay, so before starting in the actual technical details, I wanted to share a little story with you guys. Like, yeah, it's a little story. I was a kid, and I have my many friends, and it was a month of July. Sorry, it was a month of July. So in India, in July, we have like all schools are off, and it's the summer vacations. We play all the time. And as a kid, we just have to play 24/7. It is not it is not permitted by our parents, but in our hypothetical world, we are playing by 24/7. And we were having fun. Also in the month of July, it's like a monsoon season. So what happens is our parents won't allow to play in the afternoon. And at that time, we loved that swing, which is in the park, a lot. So what we thought is, we thought of like making that swing to the nearby tree, which is a very, very big tree. It has its shadow, so it's not too hot under that tree. So we thought of like, easily we can make a swing by our own. It's not a big deal. So what we did is, we take a wooden plank, and we take some coconut ropes, and we just bind that that wooden plank with the coconut ropes, and we made that. It was a very instant solution. We made it in one day. We were like a pro, but actually it worked for me. As you can see, I am a thin guy, so those wet coconut ropes worked for me. But when my one healthy friend tried that, it broke. That was an instant solution, but that didn't work. Then we thought that, okay, we are going to finish this problem for once and all. We will make it through iron chains. Yeah. We thought like 3, 4, 5 children of 10, 11 age, and they are thinking of making it with iron chain. That would be the permanent solution if we could be able to do that. Like, doesn't matter the weather conditions, doesn't matter the weight, that will work in every possible damn situation. But obviously, we can't do that. And it's not, we didn't try. We took up some stones, and we actually tried to break the actual iron swing in the park. And what we end up is like scolding the caretaker of that park. So what we end up to? We end up to using that, we made that swing through the nylon ropes. Now again, it takes us like 1 or 2 days to gather that amount of nylon rope and to make that swing, but that thing worked. That thing worked. And we did it. It didn't work well for like long, but it worked for like half, like for the month of July, it served the purpose. It actually served the purpose. We did it, and we were like, we are creators. 10 years later at Coupa. So the Coupa obviously doesn't want that swing. If they want it, like they can have their own like iron chain swing in one day. They don't want that. I faced some other problem. So here's the problem. So what I faced is like I mean, many of you can relate to that. In your software development career, it happens is like you need to create a solution within like 1 or 1.5 months, which is not either very temporary solution or just a fix, and also not a very permanent solution. Like you just need to check, or I'll say like you need to test a functionality just for a particular release, just that, like a small piece of software. But also it should be reliable because it will be used by many other developers also, and developers, testing team, and every other. So like you need to create a moderately good software in a very short span of time, because you have a very short span of time. Actually, what was the problem which I faced during my internship is, we have I will try to explain it in simple words. we have a big product, and that big product has multiple small sub-components. Now, those multiple small sub-components can act in any possible order. Like, those possibilities are contained, but those possibilities are like too much. They can act in any possible order, and they finally generate a final outcome. So you can say, like, finally generate a bill or something sort of that. And what we want is, we want for every product release we have, we want to replicate all those changes for a particular order, and we want to see that if the new release is also generating that same order after those possible changes. We want to validate that thing. So, and obviously, no temporary solution, because you are expected to give some good solution. And obviously, temporary solutions will work for a particular case or for 1 or 2 cases, but we want a very generic thing. And there are time constraints, like 1 month or 1.5 months, because I'm not going to be intern for like the rest of my life in Coupa. So there are time constraints. I think time constraints are everywhere. If you do even a side project, or if you are preparing for exams, you have time constraints. You need to do this before a deadline. Now, the thing is, why section? Like, OK, Raounak, you understand, or you gave us an idea of the problem. But why CLI? Like, you can do that with other things, which I know what's coming up in your mind, and I will try to answer them. Possible solutions could be like, oh, man, what you said can easily be accomplished through RSpecs, plain Ruby scripts. Why command line applications? You are just exaggerating things. So what happens is, in the RSpec, we have configured, and everybody has configured RSpec in such a way that on the runtime, when you load the RSpec, it doesn't use your database, your test database is used. It doesn't use your development database. We generate data on the fly through FactoryBot, which was previously called as FactoryGirls, and we ultimately clear that data through database cleaner gem. And that exactly I don't want it. I want it to work on the original data, which was generated by the users in the production instance. And we want to replicate that thing. So RSpec can't serve that purpose. Now the thing is plain Ruby script. OK, so if RSpec is not burnt, then come out of the Rails environment, write a plain Ruby script, and use Water or Capybara, and that's solve the problem. And ultimately, I just need the data. So I can just use my SQL gem and can fetch the data and can replicate the things. But the thing is, or the cool thing is, we store the data in the encrypted format in the database. Now, what MySQL will give you is that encrypted data. And obviously, I don't want, or I'm not going to write that decryption code for that data, because then this thing will be aside, and that will be my sole operation. So I need to use active records. I need to use database. But I don't want it to make any request to the web server. OK, Raounak, you told us, we get, like, why do you want to use RSpec, and why do you want to use Ruby script and other CLI application? We get it. But we are not getting it, like, what's the major difference between a plain Ruby script and a CLI application? Because they are pretty much the same thing. There are some differences. Like, for a plain Ruby script, you need to give input for every configuration. Like, there are no flags things or true or false things. You need to give inputs through ARGV. And by taking ARGV, then you need to manipulate that ARGV, that if this is present, then do this. If this is present, then go by this path. Not good to maintain, and I have somewhere read that if you manipulate ARGV very much, then it is not a good design pattern. And I don't need to tell you that how important design patterns and all those things are. You had those talks earlier than me. So the CLI apps, we can pass the flags to customize operations, and I can use that active records. And CLI applications are somewhat from a plain Ruby script whose data structure, whose file directory, and whose architecture is made by you guys, might be different if some other developers will do that, because you both think differently. But in CLI applications, if you're doing it with the bundle, then the architecture will be at least the same. So it will be easy to like maintain. So if we are talking about this, so let us talk about the architectures we have. So at the central, we have like hardware, and hardware is run by the kernel, and kernel takes a command from shell. That is a pretty simple Unix level architecture. And this is where our command line applications runs at the shell level. So we have like bash and sh in the Ubuntu, and we have ZSH for the Mac users. It is an advanced version of bash. So what I'm trying to say from here is like the more closer your application to the hardware level, the more faster it will run. And CLI applications runs faster. And I know maybe some of you will know how Rails, if you send a request to a Rails, how it will work, but still I'm going to tell you. So first you will have your web server, which will be most probably Nginx or Apache. Then you will have your app server, which will most probably be Puma or Unicorn. Then you will have Rack, which will be your interface. And then you will have your Rails applications, which has the active records to communicate with the database. Now, if you make a Rails application or a GUI applications, it will went through these much of layers to actually get that active record. But if you made a CLI applications, you are directly communicating with the application server, and it is directly using active records to fetch the data. So that at least one layer is out, which is the web servers. So the winner was CLI. So let us go with the CLI. Now the thing is, how? Now the section is how. So why in Ruby? So, OK, we got some idea like why you decided to make a CLI application, but why you decided to make it in Ruby? Well, obviously, because I needed something, a topic for submitting a talk, and in a Ruby conference, I can't submit that, make it in Python or Go. That's why Ruby. And obviously, apart from these things, because we are lazy, Matt's, the creator of Ruby, made us lazy by working very hard. We are used to the very high abstraction level, and we are in the habit of making Ruby gems. We are used to the high abstraction layer due to the syntax, due to every other possible gems we have. We are not good in dealing with the low-level things. We are even writing like a plain English. But still, it is very fast. The performance is not very different if you made it in Ruby or if you made it in Python or Golang. You have a good community support and lots of open source. Now, I'm not getting into that same discussion of open source which we had in our panel discussions. It's just my point, so I'm telling. How can I make in Ruby? OK, you decided to make in Ruby, but actually, how can you make in Ruby? We have option parser, we have a Thor gem, and we have a CLI gem. There are many other options also, but I didn't want to Google that much. So these three are there. So for the option parser, it is an internally built library in the Ruby. You can just require it and can make your CLI application in it. No external dependencies. Thor is an external gem, and CLI is also an external gem. I decided to go with Thor because I'm a Marvel fan. First of all, option parsers. OK. So in the option parsers, I told you like it will not be very intense in code, but I'm also a developer, so some code will be there. OK? So require option parser, and what you do is you need to make those CLI commands, or you need to define those checks, and then after you write your code logic over here. So what it does is option parser is I write it in short form, and option parser gets started when I execute this script, and if these flags are passes, it sets an options hash with a flag, and then that thing got run. And on the basis of this option flag, those logics got run. So apart from writing the logic for your command, you also need to write the code functionality for that command. Like if this is the thing, then this is a command, and this is the command, then run this logic. So apart from writing that just the logic, you are also writing the functionality to act as a command. So this was a drawback of option parser, but this works. Like for example, what this script does is it reverses a string if you pass a -r flag, and it checks if it is a palindrome or not if you pass minus -CK flag. So I run it, and it worked. But I will not use it because it has no specific architecture. Extra code is there, mapping commands to functions. I am externally mapping commands to functions. I am writing the code for that mapping, and there is no specific architecture. Like, I will define my own architecture, and some other developers may think something else, and they will they will implement it somehow differently. But Thor at rescue. So how Thor helps you, Thor, you can use a Thor gem with that bundler. So bundler will actually handle your architecture thing. Bundler will scaffold the initial code, which the Rails does, and then you can inject the Thor gem and can make the CLI application. So yeah, this is like a file structure which looks like this is a file structure. If you just write bundle gem and my gem name, so this is the scaffolding thing. Okay, so some real code. So why I'm showing this to you, I'm just telling you how easy is this to create in Ruby. Like, you don't need to be a very black cap hacker who has a green terminal swiping up very fast. It just happens with a lot of small commands. Like the first thing, you just make a class, CLI, which inherits from the Thor. That Thor class is provided by the gem. Then you have a describe method, which takes 2 parameters, which is actually the help thing it shows when you type the help command, then automatic documentation which shows. Like when you type git help, the things come up, that is that thing. And what have you write at the very first word with, you can define the same method with, and you can write the code over here, what do you want. So you don't need to very much be focused on implementing the command line thing, you just implement the logic you want for that particular command. And you need to go to this, and you need to go in the executable file, and you just need to make this generate meme CLI start, and it will start. Okay, so time to test. If you do this like generate meme with, it's not, is it working? You tell me. And does it work really? Yeah. So what I did is I used epoch timestamp for that image name. Yeah, man. You tell me, is it working? Yeah, it's working. If you want this code, if you want to play around with this code, if you want to mess with this code, and if you want to pin out some mistakes in this code, just mess with it and tag me on Twitter, and I will right away unfollow you. Okay, so you guys are still not convinced. That's okay if you're still not convinced. So I went on YouTube, and I typed this Ruby CLI, and this video comes up, this video. This guy, confused guy. And so this video talks about creating Ruby's CLI application in Ruby right from scratch to the very end thing where you can call your CLI from anywhere in your computer, and there's no problem. There's no unknown problem, can't load that file, this command is not found. All those issues which you will going to be encountered is covered in this video. This is an awesome video by an awesome channel where I stuck. This is amazing because it's mine. So where not to use it? You got an idea of, and yeah, subscribe, share, like. Where not to use it? Don't use it when your managers are going to use your end product. You have very graphic intense thing. Graphic intense thing, like my thing is also graphic thing, but it is not graphic intense thing. Need too many configurations in one line. And if you are not a Unix fan or you are dealing with a UI developer, then just don't use it. Like they will punch you. I had this. And okay, Raounak, you give us a start point, you tell us why, when, how, but where to now? So where to now? You can go, do some open source. Like this could be the best thing. You can see some standard codes, like how people write in general, and then you can write. Why? Because if you put some stupid question on Stack Overflow, they will block you. And why I'm telling this? Okay, so You can see and contribute in this open source project, Trollo. I contributed in it, and I get an idea of creating these things from here. So what do you want to say? What exactly I wanted to say? I said a lot of things. Okay? So what I wanted to say is, making CLI applications is not too tough. It's very easy. It's damn easy. And you can, and I don't know, I find my specific case of using it, and you can find in your domain, but it's damn easy. And you can do that. You don't need to be a Red Hat developer for doing that. Yep, throw some questions. Yeah, this is the end. And you can follow me on these things if you want. Actually, just follow. Any questions?
Do we have any questions? OK. Thank you, Raounak.
Thank you so much. And yeah, no, before going, one last thing. Just one last thing. This is a book, by Soft Skills, the Software Developer's Life Manual by Mr. John Sonmez. I'm in no association with this guy. Why I wanted to share is because what we as a developer, what we did, like on basis of my experience, what I can tell, I may have a small experience, but on that basis I can tell, it's not just the technical skills which will end up you as a great career in software development. You need a lot of, and as equivalent soft skills also, if you want to do something great. And this book, whatsoever I am doing, is just because of this book. This book will not only tell you how to code, like, it is not a coding book. It is the rest of the thing what a software developer should do apart from coding. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Raounak.